came when I was pregnant on the East Coast. And like, we didn't have as many issues, but we definitely like had a leak and on like the side and the up top. And so, but it wasn't like that kind of situation. At all. We had a few leaks, but they actually predate this, so like, we are in the process of deciding, like, we had like roofing companies come like a week ago, or 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks ago to figure this out, but because it's like, is it in the roof per se, it's like on the side, like, it creates like a lot of problem, like, it's just like confusing, but it's coming in through the ceiling, so like, you're like. Just doing this so I can monitor the chat.
Yeah.
I think that's like the big value right now, so. But yeah, so that's fun, but nowhere near like very, like low grade tub sort of situation, not like, right, like small buckets of like drips, not, everything, so.
That's good.
But I've been trying to convince my HOA that we should get flood insurance, and I'm suspecting that like the Manila flood sort of maybe convinced all the members.
Oh, that's good.
Well, I read this whole story about like Hurricane Helene that went through North Carolina, and something like 70% of the claims are people without flood insurance because they were up in the mountains and not that close. Like they didn't think they were that close to streams.
Yeah.
Like they released the Uwano Dam yesterday. They opened it. They like released it under the poly to get into the wastewater system, like the drainage system, yesterday for a few hours to lower the dam. Yeah. But they like they closed it, so it's just been kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I think we have the issues like, I mean, we have this small like room that kind of always floods, but like basically the water comes up like through the floor.
Oh my God.
And like apparently like flood insurance like won't cover that because it's not like, basically they won't cover like subsurface, like subterranean.
Wow.
Because it's, so it's like, what good are you? Yeah. Insurance. Okay, so there's a few people, I think Robin and Oops both said they're coming from hearing.
Sorry, I want to get this. I'm sorry. Chris Junker. Okay, got that email out, but I needed to get out. Okay, a little low. Count like 7 right now. Okay.
Morning, everyone. We're just gonna give it a minute or two more, so we can reach quorum. We're very close. Start shortly.
Have 11 now, Chair. It just like, oh, 12. Now we're clear.
Wonderful. Great, we can start on time. Thanks, everyone.
Hold on, for the transcript, can you call the order at 10:01?
Yes.
Sorry, it makes it so much easier.
For the transcript, I always forget to do that. Forget talking for a computer audience. For the transcript, we're gonna call the meeting to order at 10:01 a.m. Wanted to thank everyone for coming today. I really appreciate it. I know a lot of us have faced challenging times, and especially county folks have been working overtime with flood emergency management. So again, I really appreciate being here. Before we jump into the agenda today, I'm going to start with roll call. So Vice Chair Katie Rooney is here. Myself, Chair, is here. Tara Lucas. Looks like here. Thank you, Tara. Next with DOT, Robin Shishido.
Here.
Great, thanks, Robin, for joining. Next with Department of Health, Heidi Hansen-Smith.
I'm here.
Great, thanks, Heidi. Moving on with DOE is Audrey Nadano here.
What's here?
Does not look like so. Next, Luke Sarvis may be joining a little bit later, but does not look like he's here yet. Leah Laramie, are you here? Not look like so. With the state energy office, it looks like, Shanna, do we have you here?
Here.
Great, thanks, Shanna. Sierra Whiteside, are you here? Does not look like so. Yamato, the city and county.
Here.
Great, thanks, Yamato. Next, County of Hawaii, Jesse.
Good morning, here.
Great, thanks, Jesse. Good morning. County of Hawaii, do we have Keith here?
Yes, I'm here.
Great, thanks, Keith. And then County of Maui, Kurt Watanabe.
Here. Good morning.
Great. Good morning. Thanks, Kurt. And then Thomas Noyes. Looks like
Here.
you're here.
Good morning.
Great, good morning. And then James Burke.
Here.
Great, thanks, James. Good morning. And then Jess Thompson, are you on? Not look like so. Jean Torres. Okay, does not look like so. And then with Representative Darius Kilo's office, it looks like we have Doreen. Are you
I'm here.
Great,
Yes,
thanks
thank you.
Doreen, for joining us. And then lastly, is there anyone with Senator Inouye's office here? Okay, does not look like so. For the record, if we missed you or you are a member of the community not on the committee, could you either say your name verbally or put your name in the chat so we can include it in the meeting notes?
Morning, everyone. Patty Haziz Stavrakis, active transportation specialist with Hawaii Public Health Institute.
Great, thank you.
There's a Poe from HDOT as well as Kevin, the Deputy Attorney General. Forgive my saying, I don't know if the chat shows up in the transcript, so I'm just gonna, if we get others, I'll just
Okay.
interject with that, if that's okay.
Okay, great, yeah.
We get an attendance list though too, so it's just, might be.
Okay, great. Well, thank you again for everyone joining us. Yeah, I really appreciate being so timely, and so we can get started. I'm gonna go ahead and share the meeting presentation. Great, so as you can see, we have a pretty hefty agenda today. And just as a note, because of the, heavy load of administrative items, we pushed our guest speaker to next month. He was flexible and willing to present next month instead. So we could just focus this month on our regular updates as well as a few different voting measures that we have. So just to review, we have a few old business items, including approval of prior draft minutes, as well as the Safe Routes to School report to the legislature, the HDOT funding request, as well as update on the special fund status. And then moving into our new business items, we have our regular updates on meeting the law's mandates, including staffing and project updates, discussion, and then we also have time for discussion on 2026 state legislative bills that would impact our Safe Routes to School program, an update on our upcoming speakers, as well as an update around upcoming changes to the chair and vice chair positions. So moving now into our old business items, We'll first start with the approval of the draft minutes from our December 16th, 2025 Safe Routes to School meeting. This was included as one of the board packet items, also on the Safe Routes to School website. And so I just want to see if there is a motion to approve these minutes.
Are there any edits first? If there are any edits,
Are there any edits or questions?
I move that we approve the December 16th, 2025 minutes.
So I'll second that.
Great. Are there any questions, objections, or abstentions? Wonderful. Seeing none, we will, the minutes are approved for the December 16th meeting. Great. So moving along, the second item is to approve the annual report to the state legislature. Just as a reminder for folks who may have missed previous meetings, our committee did approve a draft version of the report in January. A few folks from the committee submitted non-substantive edits, which were incorporated into the finalized version and included as the board packet item for this month. Should we approve the final version of the report, it'll then be transmitted by HDOT to the legislature. So before we take a vote on this measure, are there any questions about the annual report to the legislature? Okay, seeing none, I will ask to see if there is any motions to approve the Safe Routes to School Advisory Committee annual reports to the 34th Hawaii State Legislature and authorize the Hawaii Department of Transportation for submission on behalf of the Safe Routes to School Advisory Committee.
So moved.
I'll second.
Great.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Oh.
This is Tara.
Oh, okay. Tara?
Should it say request the Hawaii DOT to submit on behalf of the committee instead of authorize?
Kevin, do you have any input? I don't know if I have an opinion on the subject.
Is there a difference in terms of authorizing or requesting?
Yeah,
I don't
AC
think
is
that
an
there's a-
advisory committee. I don't think you guys have authority over HDOT, so we don't need you to authorize us. Sorry, Kevin, you're gonna say.
No, I was gonna say that I don't think there's any concerns with substituting authorize with request.
That's fine. I think it was just the original language. I mean, I think I thought of it as authorizing in our capacity as the committee, but I'm fine with request. I don't think there's any issue.
Yeah. Okay.
So I guess so moved as amended. To
I
favor.
have a question. If we're requesting it, does that mean that we have to wait for like the request to be accepted for it to be submitted?
No, I actually thought we were going to submit it because it was approved at the last meeting. But then when I asked Abby, she said she didn't say to submit it yet.
It wasn't, the draft was approved as is with like, updates.
Yeah,
right?
so I thought that was saying like, okay, it's going to be edited and then H dot would submit it. But then, Abby, I asked you if you want that version submitted, then let me know. And then,
So from the past year, it was that we presented the draft, we opened it up for comments, and it was preliminarily approved.
yeah, so
Um,
then last year we submitted it before it was approved by the committee.
Yeah, but then afterwards, it was recommended from Kevin that we still do formal authorization on the final, like formal approval. So I just followed that process. This maybe is a better question for next year, but because it was already, like, last year we were doing it in order to meet the original deadline, but at this point it was already late.
Oh, it's already late now.
Yeah, but like last year when we did it the other way, it still had the opportunity to get submitted in time if the committee deferred its final approval. So I think I would like, basically, we just followed the same process this year, but it probably wasn't the best way to do it under the circumstances, given the timing differences. But I don't think we wanted to send it over when it was still under review. And we were getting updates from members of the committee. So, I mean, I think like for maybe this fall or in the summer, we should understand what makes sense for the timing of it all. And the approvals that are necessary, but for today, can we just approve the action and request it? Yeah, and then have
I was
it.
thinking authorized means more like, okay, H dot, you can do it. But then request would mean like, okay, please submit it on our behalf.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Let's change it to request. I don't have any, it doesn't sound like there are any concerns with that. I mean, sometimes I would say like we pull the language as best we can, but if that's, I think request is fine. So can we make a motion then to action to approve it? And request that the Hawaii Department of Transportation submit on behalf of the Safe Routes to Schools. I just realized the verb was off, but Safe Routes to Schools Advisory Committee. Is that acceptable?
Yes, we are, it sounds like, so that we can move this along, it sounds like we are accepting the friendly amendment to move that we approve the Safe Routes to School Advisory Committee annual report to the 34th
Okay.
Hawaii State Legislature and request that the Hawaii Department of Transportation for submission on behalf of the Safe Routes to School Advisory Committee. So I just reset it, so someone has to
Yeah.
second.
Second,
Okay, now we can vote. Let's move on.
are there any objections?
Are there any objections, abstentions, or questions? Great, hearing none, we have voted to approve the Safe Routes to School annual report to the 34th Hawaii State Legislature and request that each dot submit on behalf of the advisory committee. Thank you for your questions and discussion on that matter.
Chair, just to note that Bev Brody has also joined us.
Great, thanks Bev for that in the chat. We're happy to have you. So lastly, in terms of the voting items, we are going to next turn our attention to the H-Dot funding requests, which has been an ongoing discussion for the last few months. Again, as an update for folks who may have missed prior meetings, we did at the January Safe Routes to School meeting approve the use of Safe Routes to School funds for the central services charge, which was included in the original H-Dot funding request. We also had a discussion last month regarding the draft voting language, and just some of the different concerns or input that the committee members had. I will say before kind of summarizing this, this voting language, that it was amended from last month. Some of the key updates were that the funding essentially could be used at HDOT's discretion for both labor and non-labor expenses. We essentially removed the word labor from the beginning of the voting language. We also clarified a number of the conditions where deliverables were being requested, that the HDOT coordinator could work with other staff and consultants to produce those deliverables. So again, I know that this is quite a hefty amount of text for one slide. It's actually dispersed like across 2 different slides, but before going into any questions or discussion, I'll go ahead and summarize that the voting language seeks to approve the dispersal of $500,000 in Safe Routes to School special fund monies to cover the coordinator and other staff-related expenses for the program, which can be used over a 5-year period. We clarified that for the monthly reporting condition that these can be provided as updates at our regular monthly meetings. Again, there are conditions around the producing of the report to the legislature, the drafting and finalizing of meeting minutes, requesting that actions that are approved by the committee be undertaken within 3 months of approval, and then similar to other funds, the funds be used as a supplement to other funding sources, and that any increases in staff salary or benefits to be covered by HDOT. Before we go into the official vote, I want to open it up for any questions or comments from the committee. Robin?
Yeah, thank you. So looking at those, was that 6 conditions or things under that item? The monthly reporting, just want to clarify. So, at each monthly meeting is where we'll just give an update. It's not going to be a written report or anything like that. So that's what our Safe Routes to School coordinator will provide. As far as the legislative report, is what we just previously discussed up above. I mean, the committee will put the report together and then we'll request for HDOT to submit. So we will submit the report, but we're not going to be putting the report together. On the third item, the undertaking committee actions, I mean, a lot of that part is outside of our control. I mean, I don't see how we can, ensure that actions are taken within 3 months, when the monies are given to the counties, or even for them to get the money, IGAs have to get approved and things like that, which can take up to 3 months. So I don't see how that's enforceable by us. Number 5 is fine. And number 6 for salary benefit increases, that's all controlled by collective bargaining, and it also applies to all the counties. So it doesn't seem like anything that is increased because of that. I mean, it's outside of our control. And again, same with counties. Any funding provided for staff labor should cover all of that. So I think you should clarify monthly reporting is at the monthly meetings, legislative report request for DOT to submit. Number 4, you should just delete. Number 5 is fine, and number 6 should be deleted.
So with the legislative report, Robin, we were trying to get into that the consultant, but we can't direct the consultant directly to support it. It does not seem appropriate over the long term that the committee, as a volunteer board, writes the report all the time and trying to find a way to utilize the support. Is there a way of, this is sort of what had been discussed on the last meeting, are there ways of being able to do that?
So when you get the consultant on board, you can put it in their scope of work, that's one thing that
We
they would
need
have to
you to
do.
do that though, right? We can't do their scope of work, right? So this was a way of ensuring that that does get into it and that there's a continuum across those positions. That's why we added in like with the committee and the consultants so that it will get there.
So per HRS, the committee is responsible for the legislative report.
Yeah,
The
but I think we
consultant's
would
being
like
procured to help the
administrative
committee.
support for it. How do we do that? I mean, I
So
think
we're-
we definitely agree that we can certainly request that it gets put into it, but if it doesn't, I mean, I think it's a lot to ask of a board, of a volunteer board, to report out all the time, and we've provided monies for this consultant, so how does that get access?
So this advisory committee will approve the scope of work for the consultant. Is that
Okay, I
Yeah.
guess that's news to us, because we haven't heard that more recently.
Well, we have a
And
scope.
my understanding is we did approve a scope, but we don't know that that's what's in the contract, right? If it's where it's at. I mean, I guess that's another question, but I think the concern is that if we rely on just the action of the committee, of the scope, of the consultant, the reality is that they're under contract to you, not to us. And how do we ensure that support?
Yeah, you can request for us to add that scope into the consultant and we'll add it to their scope of work.
So Tara, it's my understanding that that is in the approved scope of work already, correct?
I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and look at it.
Okay. Sorry, there's other questions.
Yeah, thanks, Robin, for those comments. Leah? Yeah, I see your hand raised.
I think one of the other issues was the concern of, HDOT not submitting things in a timely manner previously. So I think that's why we also wanted that language in there, because as much as the responsibility of the contractor whose it is, it's also HDOT needs to submit it, right, to the legislature. Is that correct?
Yeah, but that's already in the HRS, so I don't think it needs to be tied to that.
But I think that has been an issue in the past.
Yeah. Yeah, and I
So
think,
I think,
we
I
just
think that's
discussing
why we
above.
wanted to put that in here as a requirement, because we want to reduce that issue from happening again. So is there language you would recommend that can ensure that, do we just say like it's responsible for submitting the report and ensure that it is done in a timely manner?
So I think part of it, as we'll discuss earlier, how that approval process goes and, being now second year, so third year, hopefully that process gets more refined and you can meet that 30-day requirement or the 20-day prior to the legislature starting.
Right, but I think that the committee wants there to be more assurance that that will happen on HDOT's part. So I would like there to remain language within here to underline that.
So the language should be that the committee will ensure the report is completed on time and given to HDOT in a timely manner to submit it in time.
How is that different than following committee approval? HDOT shall transmit the report in accordance with applicable legislative requirements.
Yeah, that part is fine. So yeah, the part about us submitting, that's fine. But the part about, I think, us having to draft it.
I think a point of clarification is that like part of the challenge has been is that getting it posted in time for review to happen. It's hard for the committee to approve in a timely fashion if it's not posted. And I'd say we were prepared to try and meet the time frame, but there were definitely challenges with additional accessibility requirements that made that very difficult. Which I think are also challenging to ask a volunteer board to do the accessibility requirements on in its own space. So, there's a combination of factors that kind of played out. that made it difficult to meet the time frame this year in order to submit on time. And I think that's part of what we're trying to avoid, is that it's really clear that, you know, those requirements are not communicated in December, but rather in October. I mean, is it a matter of asking for additional guidance? I think, you know, Leia's raising a good point, though, is that, you know, it's been a challenging process to get these in a timely fashion. And if, you know, we can approve the scope, but we can't direct the consultant. And so how do we solve, I mean, Kevin, do you have any suggestions on what language could maybe help meet both these needs? I mean, I do think we were trying to respond to it with the updated language, the concern that you have, Robin, so. Oh, Yamato's raised her hand.
Oh,
Sorry.
Yamato.
Sorry.
Yamato?
Yes, my comment is on the drafting of the report. I understand, we don't want it to be the requirement of the Safe Routes to School coordinator to do that, but can we make it a requirement for the coordinator to put it in the scope for the consultant? That the coordinator be in charge of putting it in the scope?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, we can amend the scope of work if it doesn't include it already to have that in the consultant's work.
Thank you.
Okay. I guess to your comment, Robin, around the undertaking of committee actions, I think, you know, some of the feedback in general is that we just, you know, I don't think anyone expects that, you know, each shall be in control of the approval of, you know, the IGAs and different processes that come forth from the committee. But just wanting assurance that there can be just documentation of the committee actions has been, I guess, a challenge for the last few months. And so that is why we had updated, you know, I think it may be semantics, but, you know, why we're clarifying that at least that there is an effort being made to undertake such actions within a certain amount of the approval time.
So just in the monthly reporting, just report to the committee what has taken place in the last month, I guess. Is that what you're looking for when you wanted documentation?
I mean, I think it was more that the steps to ensure actions that when things aren't moving that have been approved several months prior and appear to be held up by HDOT action, that was sort of the intent to address some of those. That like within 3 months, something should happen on the activities, actions as approved. It doesn't have to mean they have to be completed, but that step should be taken, that's all.
Okay, that's fine.
With the salary and benefit increases, I think this was also recommended by Kevin, right? Maybe we just say that they'll not be covered by this funding source instead, like rather than being like it'll be covered by HDOT, is that they're not covered by the grant? Or they're just exempt? I don't know. I mean, I think
Yeah, this is
was in
something
the
we
other
had
ones
included
too.
in the last funding or the approval for the County of Hawaii. But yeah, I guess, Kevin, do you have any suggestions on the salary and benefit increases? I think the idea is just that, you know, we would provide each dot a set amount of money for this lump sum amount. And that it wouldn't be tied to different changes in the salary and benefits. But do you have suggestions, Kevin?
So I don't recall exactly what the conversation was, but from what I remember, was more just this idea that there would be no funds in excess of the lump sum, and that it would be up to HDOT to determine how those funds would be allocated. Does that sound correct?
Yes, that's correct.
If that's the case, then I guess you could either delete that language or replace it with something to that effect. That the funds wouldn't exceed the amount being provided within, and then if you wanted to put a time period or anything like that. I mean, it's kind of in the language already.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay. So it sounds like, I guess with input of the committee, we did, to your comment, Robin, I think we try to update the language. I think I can maybe just make a small update right now, just to be extra clear that the monthly meeting updates are verbal, not written from the coordinator. We can remove the salary and benefit increases language.
would it help to clarify that in the funding term, that like it's a lump sum payment not to exceed? And the funding term, which it just is I on the other slide? Because it kind of already does what Kevin was talking about. I don't know, I'm wondering if that is helpful. If it's duplicative, that's fine too. And then we have a hand raised from Yamato and Tara.
Okay. Yes, I can look at that, and then I guess the one other thing or aspect of the vote that considered to be change is, it sounds like potentially the removal of the language around the HDOT coordinator drafting and finalizing the report to legislature, but that this would be a potential vote for future meetings to request that the committee requests that this be incorporated into the court consultant scope.
Yeah, I think there's like a phrase with the legislative report and committee meetings that says something like that, right? Like, so I'm ensure that administrative support for both the report and the committee meeting minutes and other is included into the consultant support. And they're the conduit for that to happen on a timely basis or something like that, I guess. Does that sound about right? I don't know, I'm kind of winging it because there's a lot there and I think we're typing it up too, which is fine.
Okay. Yamato?
Oh, I was wondering, under the section undertaking committee actions, is this a good place where we could maybe explicitly write that the coordinator could take the steps to ensure that the necessary documents are posted on the website in a timely manner to allow for the committee to meet with sunshine laws in place?
Yeah, it could be. I think we, if the committee is interested in that language, we could amend it as such. I think
It's Tara.
Tara?
I know, it's not showing up, sorry. Terry, for some reason your name isn't showing up on your person square on the big screen. I don't know what to call that.
Sorry,
Tara?
at the last meeting, I think we clarified that HDOT could come back and ask the committee for more funds when we run out. Can that be captured in the language also?
I think we discussed that it would be for any actions that are not currently approved. So you couldn't come back for more funds for doing the same things. It'd be for any additional work that's done outside of what's already being done.
Oh yeah, so 500,000 over 5 years is not enough for HDOT. So at some point we're gonna run out.
How much do you think is necessary for 5 years?
Well, we calculated for our request was for 3 years. And then it's about 100, maybe 70,000 per year.
So I think the one thing that is that, right, we have this consultant coming on board, and part of it was to develop a plan and to maybe scope out more what that could be in the future. And we just don't know what that is, right? And that's part of the challenge. I don't know if I share Yamato's understanding that it meant that they couldn't ask for things that were in this space ahead, though. So I don't know if it's clear, but I wonder, are we allowed to constrain future committees? Or, I mean, you're allowed to come back whenever you want, right? Like you can come back 2 months afterwards. There's nothing to prohibit you from making a request. But I'm not sure how to put it in this action language to reflect that. Necessarily, I don't know. Does that make sense? Like, right, like it's sort of like, you know, how do you constrain future committees' decision making? I don't know that you can do that. Or that they have, you know, or that they have to approve it per se. I don't know. Does anybody have any thoughts on that? I mean, I think we're open to it. I just don't know how you do that. Yamato, are you still raising your hand? Sorry. Go.
Yeah.
Well, hold
Yeah,
on. Abby's got to call on you probably. But I just was letting her know that you were.
Yeah, Yamato?
Oh, yeah, I understand your question about whether we can restrict the future committee or not. I don't know the answer for that one, but because we're a bit uncertain about how the consultant's report is going to come back, and we're kind of like in the beginning stages of developing this process, I think having a shorter time frame would be better. So if like Tara is really requesting for 3 years, I recommend that we keep it to like a 3-year time frame instead of 5, because we're not sure how things are going to look afterwards. And I think after the consultant's document is done, we'll have a better picture of how the future is going to be at that time.
Okay,
Heidi's got her hand up.
Heidi, yeah, thank you, Yamato. I think we can take that under consideration. Heidi, you have a comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think a similar thought that Yamato had. So if Rachel's telling us that, I'm sorry, Tara, if Tara's telling us that the money, the 500,000 isn't going to last 5 years, then we either should shorten it to the 3 years they're requesting the money for, or fund it to what they're saying their needs are going to be, right? So there should be a budget that would match what their expenses are going to be versus, I mean, because that's a pretty big difference. If we're being told that this would only cover 3 years, just
So,
my 2 cents.
Yeah, Heidi, I think the reason why was that then it was sort of fair across all the positions, that we weren't necessarily opining on, you know, the work, but recognizing that HDOT, you know, the position might have more to it in the future and recognize that. And so I'm okay with your suggestion. I just want people to understand why it was kind of structured that way originally, was that then it was sort of fair across all of them, which, you know, we can decide we don't want to do. That's okay too. But that was sort of the original rationale, was that, and then the way around it was to say that, like, well, if, you know, it happened that it lasted 3 and we had a much better understanding at that point in time, then and then maybe the scope was sort of more established for the program and stuff like that, then we would have a better sense of it and be able to sort of evaluate it and have a better understanding. But that, like, right now, we just didn't know. So I think
Yeah. Sorry if
fine.
I
just wanted
didn't
to offer the
remember.
reason
I feel
why.
like the conversation's been going on, so I can't remember all of the details, but it sounds like there might have been some expectation that DOT would backfill some of those funding needs if we were doing sort of the more spreading it evenly method. Okay, yeah, thanks.
I mean, are there other opinions on the 3 versus 5? I think we could be okay with it. Just acknowledging that that's why it's not the same as maybe the other ones have been entertained under and approved under. I think that's fine.
Just wondering if DOT has a preference as well to time frame.
So we're changing the 500,000 over 3 years instead of 5 years.
Yeah, and the acknowledgement that, there's a special role for the HDOT Safe Routes to Schools coordinator in this space for obvious reasons.
Okay. Tara, any concerns on that?
No, I think that would make it sufficient.
Yeah, okay.
Do we have so many additions that we need to rewrite it? They're just fine. That's why we have the meetings, but.
Yeah, I wonder, do you think, Kevin, would it be sufficient? I don't know if maybe Katie could, would it be possible to update, the language and then we return to it this meeting, or would it be better to include as on future meeting agenda?
Tara, is Tara still raising her hand? Sorry.
Oh yeah, sorry, I have another request.
Okay.
So for supplemental use of funds, can we also specify that DOT is not required to apply for any grant funds?
I don't know. I sort of assumed that was covered under if grant funds are unavailable, but they're unavailable because you don't apply for them. But that would just be
Yeah, so
my
that's
take on the language. But
that was a question
I don't
we're
think we can
coming up.
direct you to apply for grant funds, though, right? Like, given the earlier conversation around authorities, like, we can't force you to apply for funds. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a issue we're having now with the Hawaii County request, is that the language is similar. And then this could be interpreted that like it's unclear whether we're required to apply for grant funds. So if we could specify that HDOT is not required to apply for grant funding, I think that would be best.
I would defer to Kevin on that one because it does say in the original Act 244 that to the extent practicable or something like that, I can't remember, that this is supposed to be used as matching funds. So I don't know how to negotiate that under the circumstance. I think that's why that language is in there, is to continue to support that, like, when we can use it for matching funds, we should. But I don't know if, like, what to do with that statement in the context of your concern. So I guess, Kevin, do you have any suggestions?
So I think you're right that the spirit of the statute reflects trying to pursue alternative grant funds before using SRTS funds directly. That said, I don't know that this is kind of like a soft requirement, in that I don't think it's necessarily enforceable to the extent that you kind of just presented the example that if you don't apply for the funds, then they're not available. I mean, I don't know how enforceable that particular requirement would be. I think it's more of a strong encouragement to pursue supplementary funds.
Okay.
Yamato.
Oh, you're muted, Yamato.
Sorry, thanks. Instead of using the word grant funds, can we just use other funds? So it may be grants, or it could just be other pots of money that HDOT has other than Safe House to School.
Yeah, I wonder if the grant makes it a challenging implementation as well. But I'm not sure that Yamato's suggestion solves for it exclusively, but would it be better to say sort of what Kevin's language is, that like it's strongly encouraged that it be used in this way as per, just leave it at that?
I think that would be better if we say that it's encouraged, then it's clear that it's not required.
Okay, so I think there's enough rewriting that we need to take this back.
Okay,
That's my
Yes.
take on it. Like, I think there's been enough editing that's it. I think it's clarifying things. Like, I don't think it's hugely substantive, but it is clarifying sort of the agreements, and I think we should do that unless there's an immediate need.
okay.
We could also do a meeting if HDOT would like to move this up, because I know we've been talking about this for a bit as well.
Yeah.
So I leave that to them maybe.
Yeah, I do apologize that it's taken longer than expected, but obviously folks have had a lot of good feedback that has been helpful in crafting this language. So I think I'll take the advice of the vice chair to make one more round of edits to the voting language, and then can pose it again at next month's meeting. It does sound like we're very close, though.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate being able to have the time to talk this through. It sounds like the major edits are to the time frame being 3 years, clarifying that verbal updates are given at the monthly meetings, clarifying the condition regarding to the legislative report, the undertaking of committee actions, and then clarifying that we are encouraging the pursuit of grant funds and other funding, but that it is not required, and then removing the condition for salary and benefit increases.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we have any remaining concerns? Or did we cover them all? Okay. Thanks
Okay.
for everybody's patience.
Yeah. Thank you for your patience. Seeing none, we'll move on to our last old business item. Again, because I think over the last few months, there's been some just general kind of questions and requesting of clarification from the committee. We've asked that we have regular updates on the special fund status. So I appreciate, Tara, you providing some of the updated figures regarding the amount of cash available in the special fund. Could you, Tara, just give us, would be able to provide a quick overview of the special fund status?
Okay, so that balance is correct. Fund distribution by quarter should read allotment instead, and then whatever we didn't use, we can move to quarter 4 if needed.
Okay, and then you have, you also provided the expenditures as well, which was the $2 million to the county of Hawaii, as well as the additional monies for the central services surcharge.
Tara, when you put the central services surcharge, what's the time on that? Like, is that like is it gonna be like the monthly, or is that like what, like quarterly? I'm just not familiar enough with it to know.
I think we're constantly paying it out, so I can update that whenever that's on the agenda.
Okay, so is it sort of like a year-to-date number then? Like, or
Yes.
that includes like January and February? Yeah, okay. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. I guess just with limited time, this is incorporated into our update on the Safe Routes to School Special Fund. But committee members also had questions regarding the collection and depositing of the $5 registration fee, which was required under the passage of Act 212 last year, and which will provide funds for the Safe Routes to School program. So I wanted to see if we could get an update either from Tara or Robin, as we've been getting a number of questions regarding the status of this.
Yeah, I can give an update. So about maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, we met with all the city and county DMVs and DIT to see where they're at on this. And in order for them to collect that additional $5 surcharge, they would need to redo their programming, add that additional line item, and be able to collect that fund separately. Based on our experience with High Rock, as you know, when we switched over that for EVs, that took a long process, and they're still actually working on the final programming on that. So good news is with High Rock, we were able to have them develop, or will be developing, an API. So when they have to go and do the programming to collect this additional $5, it should be quicker and not cost as much. But it is going to cost each of the county DMVs some amount. They're going to go back to their vendor and see how much it is. I don't know if it's going to be 20 or 30 or 40 grand each one. So each one of them is going to need money to pay their vendor. So would you like each of the counties to separately request that funding, or how would the committee like that funding being requested? And as far as timeline, once they go back to their vendor and they get them scheduled, I mean, it could be, I don't know, anywhere from 3 to 6 months. They didn't have a cost or a timeline on when they could do it, but just based on our experience with High Rock, it's not a quick and easy process for them.
I don't think the committee was anticipating having to pay for that, to be honest. Like, right, like it's the first time it's been kind of really mentioned. Nor am I sure that legislator thought about that either. I don't know how to approach that, actually. I don't think, is there anything in Act 212 that like touches on that? Because, right, like how are the other surcharges that are also, right, like there were a bunch of other surcharges done too. Is that because that's sort of all covered under the existing surcharge mechanism?
Yeah, I mean, what they currently collect is already in their programming. So even like when we did our High Rock, we ended up paying, I can't remember how much it was, 130 grand or something like that, for them to go reprogram and make that changes.
Yamato, do you have thoughts, or I guess other committee folks as well?
Yeah, these are just my thoughts. If what I understand it, this is a one-time fee in order for them to program it, and then once it's programmed, it's not like an annual thing or anything like that. Is that correct?
Correct.
So in that case, I think it's appropriate to come out of the Safe Routes to School Special Fund. I would like to see each county request it separately on their own, so that we can approve it as needed by the county's schedule, and we don't have to wait for all the counties to come together.
Okay. Good news is that at least the neighbor island counties, they all have the same vendor, so hopefully can be done pretty quickly and cost effectively.
Kevin, are there
I'm
any
guessing that
concerns?
it's,
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Yamato.
I'm guessing this would be something that we have to all vote on as a committee as to whether these funds should be used this way.
I would presume so. I guess my next question following on is like, are there any limitations in the uses of the special fund that prohibit us from being able to approve these going forward at some point?
That is actually one of my concerns because it's reasonable for the counties to make a request to do this so that they can collect the registration fee. I don't remember the legislature anticipating that when Act 212 was passed, but is it allowable under Act 212? Can we do what we're saying? Can we say, yes, bill us for the programming so that you can collect the fee? Is that allowable? I don't know. That's why questions that need to be asked.
Yeah.
But if not, if the answer is yes, then yeah, by all means, just as we have just said, have all the counties submit separately and make a request. That's my 2 cents.
I was gonna say, and if Kevin, you can't answer that today, we can come back if that needs to be explored. I think that's a fair question too.
Yeah, I think would make some sense because I haven't taken a close look to at Act 212 to see if there was. I'm guessing there's no appropriations that were tied in with the bill, but as far as actually being able to say yes to the request, my initial inclination is that it probably isn't a problem because of how broadly written the statute is, the SRTS statute is, but I will take a closer look at that.
And I think we also have to have it on our agenda specifically to vote on it. So
Yeah. Okay, we are,
Okay,
do we need to extend?
yes, do I have a motion to extend by 15 minutes?
So
of the rest of the meeting? Do I hear a second?
I second it.
Thank you. Any questions, abstentions, or objections? Hearing none, we'll
Okay.
extend the meeting by 15 minutes. Thank
So-
you for your patience.
The short version is Robin will entertain them and we'll find out if we can approve them. Right? Like that's the short version of that conversation. So
Yeah. Robin, did you have, sorry if I missed this, but did you have any estimate of the costs?
No, but again, based on our high rock, it seemed like it might be, I don't know, somewhere between 15 to 20,000 for each DMV. And that's just a rough estimate. I don't know. They're going to go back to their vendor and find out.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful. Okay, well, thank you to Robin and DOT. Oh, Yamato?
Yeah, I have a question, I think, for Robin. A couple months ago, I think in December, we were talking about how in the current law, it states that the advisory committee has to request for the funds, the 10 million. I'm sorry if I'm not explaining this right, but we were talking about the 10 million that didn't get deposited into the Safe Routes Special Fund because the committee didn't request for it. And then I believe you were going to come back and show us exactly where in the law it mentions that. So I just wanted to follow up to see if
Okay.
you can point that out.
Yeah, I'll go find it. I went back and reread and I'll go find it and I'll send it to you folks.
Okay, thank
Or
you.
else.
Jesse? Oh, sorry, you're muted.
Thank you. Just before we moved on to new business, I wanted to follow up with Tara, Robin, guys. If the last we heard about our confirmation letter for our funding for our position was that you were working with the AG's office. I just didn't know if there was an update or an ETA on that. So I can let Keone guys know.
Yeah, we're continuing to work with the AGs.
Okay. Have they provided you any ETA or anything? We are getting much closer to our
They gave
end
me a
of the
response
fiscal and
with their comments, and then I still need to go through it.
cool. Yeah, anything we could do to keep that moving, let me know. We're definitely happy to assist because the funding does run out at the end of this fiscal and we've still got to get it approved by council and stuff. So we'd really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse, for bringing that up. That brings me well into our next item. I know we're kind of running short on time here, so I wanted to see, I guess that was in terms of the staffing update. That was update that I was hoping to receive from HDOT on the Hawaii County status of their request that was approved in October. Are there any other staffing updates, Vice Chair? And Tara, do you have any additional updates regarding the development of the Safe Routes to School plan and program and the consultant RFQ process?
So we received financial information from the top rank consultant, and we are reviewing and working on getting out proposed rates.
Sorry, can you say that again? You
We
reviewed it?
received financial information this week from the top rank consultant, and we are currently working on reviewing that and getting out proposed rates.
Okay. Do you have a time frame for like when that is fully completed? The process, like where we can start working, where they're gonna start working? Because I remember it was I thought it was Q3 of this year, yeah?
Yeah, it's not gonna happen in Q3, maybe 4.
Yamato, do you have a question on that regard?
Oh, this is not about the RFQ. It's about the DOE's position. I was just wondering if anyone is still looking into getting that position created. If we can make sure to keep doing that, because I think it's really important. I talk with the DOE guys often, and if there's just like a central person that can do Safe Routes to School, it'd be really helpful.
I mean, the short version is that I've had ongoing conversations with them on and off. Legislative session slows some of that stuff down, as I'm sure folks know. But it really depends on them putting together a request at this point in time. And that's where that stands. So, you know, I think if you can encourage them to do that, sure. We've also tried to have conversations with updating the representative for the committee, and unfortunately that hasn't happened either. Because I don't think Audrey really covers this given their restructuring. So I will continue to reach out and engage, but yeah, it's, you know, it really depends on them providing the request for the funds.
Okay, that's good to know. Thanks.
Thanks, Yamato. I think we kind of covered this before with the Safe Routes to School Special Fund update, but Tara, are there any additional updates on the distribution of the initial 8 million approved in the for the various Safe Routes to School projects?
Okay, so Hawaii County informed me that they do not need an IGA, so I'm just waiting on them to let me know how they want to receive the funds. whether it's through journal voucher or check. And then if by check, I'll need them to verify the address to send it to. City and County of Honolulu proposed changes to the IGA, and I will need to review that and work with AG's office. And then Maui, I'm waiting for any comments on the IGA for them to tell me it's okay.
Okay, thank you for the update. That's appreciated. And then moving on now, again, I apologize, we don't have too much time, but I just wanted to highlight, I guess, two different bills. And one of them, it looks like it is not moving forward, but that would impact the Safe Routes to School program. So the first one is HB 2454, which would have essentially provided authorization, explicit authorization for HDOT to plan, design, construct eligible projects, establish firm spending deadlines, and then also just clarify what the Safe Routes School funds could be or could not be used for. But again, it does not look like, since this bill did not receive a hearing notice, that it'll be moving forward. The second bill is SB 3234. I believe this was originally written to appropriate fund from the general fund to install all-way crosswalks near schools, but recently was amended to appropriate funds from the State Highway Fund, Safe Routes to School Fund, and General Fund for HDOT to install pedestrian safety improvements, including all-way crosswalks and raised intersections near schools, and that bill is still alive. So I just wanted to flag those two bills. Robin, is there anything that I'm missing on these measures?
No, nothing that I know of. But for the SB 3234 HD1, we did request more flexibility in what kind of safety improvements. I mean, all-way crosswalks are not applicable to every single intersection. And also, I think the bill, said adjacent to schools. So also more flexibility on, where those intersections can be looked at. Because as folks walk to school, it's not always adjacent or, when they're walking to from school.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you, Robin, for that clarification. Yamato, do you have a question?
Yeah, I guess question for Robin. Does HDOT have a stance on this bill, and how does it feel about using the Safe Routes to School Fund? I feel like those funds have a very separate process that this committee is allocating. So if possible, I would love for that to be removed from the bill. Go ahead.
No, sorry. Yeah, we supported the bill and suggested that they use the money out of the Safe Routes to School Fund because it's for improvements at schools or near schools.
How does that work with the advisory committee? Would the advisory committee then approve those locations or not?
I'm not sure because if the bill is directing the funds out of the Safe Routes to School Fund, I don't know if statutorily then it's already committed or it would have to be approved by the advisory committee, but although it's required by law, so maybe it's something we'll need to look into when this bill gets passed.
Thanks. Thank you for that feedback. Maybe that's something we can ask for the AG's input on. It's just, should this bill be passed with its current language, how that would impact the approval and allocation of Safe Routes to School funds. So thanks for flagging that, Yamato. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I would be guessing that the that maybe we won't have a say on the funds, the dollar amount, but perhaps we would be approving the location and the improvements that are happening at that location.
I believe the last committee report recommended 5 million. But that, I don't know that that's not taken up in the bill. I just mentioned it because I've read the committee report more recently, so. Just, you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that feedback. So just as a note, technically my chair position goes through the end of the fiscal year, which is through the end of June. But I'm needing to go on maternity leave.
She's got better things to do.
And Katie has graciously offered to take over early once again as chair. And Yamato has offered to take over as vice chair starting next month. And then I'll have a colleague of mine be serving as my designee. So just wanted to let folks know, starting next month, Katie will be the chair and Yamato will be the vice chair while I'm on maternity leave, likely through August. I think that doesn't require any official vote.
No, because we're doing it as designations.
Yeah.
So.
But just wanted to let folks know.
We worked with Kevin to figure out the cleanest way to do this. It seemed to be to sort of start my chairship early because it has to switch every year, but it doesn't specify that the terms are a year. And then this way you're able to do it that way. And then I'm designated Yamato as my substitute for the time. And then probably in July, we'll resituate everything else back. Not back, but yeah. We might have to go Abby in as vice chair then at that point, but yeah. She might still have better things to do at that time too. So we're playing it by ear. So
yeah. Great. So I think last on our agenda is I just wanted to highlight again our guest speaker was originally planned for this month. We have moved to next month. He is with the Global Designing Cities Initiative, who worked on the Designing Cities for Kids guide. So we're really excited to have him present on that, as well as some of the different international programs that they've been working on. However, he, like a previous speaker of ours, is based abroad. He is in Pune, India. So we'll be pushing back the meeting time to 3 p.m. to accommodate for his schedule. He'll be joining us very early from India, but just wanted to let folks know that we'll have to move that meeting to the afternoon. So we'll update the calendar accordingly. So I know we're up on time, but just wanted to offer if there was any last quick announcements from committee members or the public to share with folks.
congratulations to Abby.
Thanks, James. Tara?
Right, so effective May 1st, meeting materials older than 1 year will be removed from the H.web, the Safe Routes to School Advisory Committee's portion of the H.dot website.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thanks, Tara, for the update. Appreciate that. Seeing no other announcements, I will officially adjourn this meeting at 11:16 a.m. Thanks everyone for joining us and looking forward to seeing you next month.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Congratulations, Abby.
Thank you.
Jesse.